Hey everyone, it's Martijn, and 40% of the world can speak one language, 43% is bilingual, but imagine that you can speak more than 70 languages. And with today's technology, you can easily do so because of this little AI smart travel translator. Time to check it out. Let's get started. This is Langogo Genisis, and it's a smart AI travel companion that translates everything for you. And they had a successful campaign on Indiegogo, and it's now widely available to the public, and I got this unit from Amazon. The three main features are the neuro-machine translation for more than 70 languages. There's an eSIM to translate freely around the globe while at the same time being a hotspot for your phone, and there's a built-in voice assistant, Yuri. Yuri helps you with finding attractions, a taxi, a restaurant, and helps you with navigation, the weather, exchange rates, and public transportation timetables. Best of all, the company claims that it can do all of this in less than a second. So let's put it out for a real life test. Honey, do you mind to help me out?
Скъпа, искаш ли да ми помогнеш?
So, how does that sound in Bulgarian to you?
They sound perfect.
You sound perfect. Okay, good. So I prepared a couple of questions to her because she's Bulgarian. Might be obvious to you if you're a long-time subscriber. In case you're not a subscriber yet, I urge you to do so. So the questions are mainly about more difficult stuff because that's for a translator sometimes a bit more difficult, sometimes like mortgage, interest rates, etc. So remember that we were talking about our mortgage and the interest rate?
Помним, че говорихме за ипотеката и лихвения процент.
Okay, this sounds quite as it should,
Yeah.
but it's not exactly correct. It should be помниш ли. It's supposed to be in the past tense. Here is not, but you understand what it's trying to say.
Okay, so that's pretty good. And for example, if you would say like, remember that we were in a difficult situation back then?
Спомниш ли си, че бяхме в трудна ситуация тогава?
Remember, we were in a difficult situation then.
Okay, so
Okay.
that sounds pretty good. Okay, for example, well, currently we are at 5.5%, and with the current market situation, I think we can negotiate for 2.5%, which will save us $250 per month.
В момента сме на 5/5 и с сегашната ситуация на пазара мисля, че можем да преговаряме за 2,5%, което ще ни спести $250 на месец.
Okay.
That was a pretty long sentence, but
It was very accurate, except for when you said 5.5%, it said 5-5%,
okay.
which is very literal translation.
Okay, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So how would you respond to this?
Супер! Кога можем да запазим час?
Super, when can we keep the time?
Super. When can we keep the time? Well, when can we make an appointment? Is it?
Yeah.
So with this short, the real life test, and it's a nice environment, a controlled environment. It is pretty okay. But imagine that when you're sitting in a cafe with more background noise, etc. It might not be always 100% accurate, just like what it is right now. And especially with longer sentences, it needs more time to process the whole sentence. And you imagine that you're with a real life translator and you put out this kind of long sentences. Even a real life translator, like a real person, will have the same issue of translating longer sentences. Thank you so much for helping. I have some other stuff to say as well to you guys, because there is, for example, I just wrote some points, let me just check it. AI features. For example, you can ask Yuri, and let me just open it. What is the weather? Can you help me with the navigation, etc. So if you enable Yuri, what is the weather like?
Here's the weather for today.
So besides all of this, I also received during the testing period an update, which is a really nice indication that they continue to develop their product. And that is something that I highly appreciate, because sometimes you see with those Amazon goods that they are putting it out on the market and then they just stop the support with updating, etc. And in this case I already received one in just a week time, so that's a pretty good indication that they really try to do their best and they continue to develop their product. So the Genesis is charged via a micro USB Type-C cable over here, and the battery found inside is 2200 mAh, which is, I think personally, a very reasonable amount for a little device like this. However, the standby time is not that great, because for 9 hours it dropped 10%. So if you continue to calculate this, in less than 4 days your battery will be empty, and that is just in standby mode. So what do I think of this little smart AI travel translator? Well, the concept is really cool, the execution is done really well, and these smart AI features, I think it's a nice addition to a smart little device like this. However, there are 3 points that I think they could easily improve on, and the first one is of course the price, because I think it's a little too steep for a smart translator like this, and therefore it makes me question if I will use it that much to justify the steep price. Secondly, I am missing a camera to translate road signs, maps, menu cards, street names, especially if it's a language that doesn't use the Latin alphabet, and that's in my case of course. Now the last point is that in my pocket I have a smartphone, always a smartphone with Google Translate pre-installed. And that has the option for a camera, for handwriting, conversations, and maybe most important, I can use it offline as well. But for some languages, this device is just so much more handy. For example with Bulgarian, because Google Translate has so many issues with Bulgarian, it's almost never translating it properly. And this little device does a much better job in my honest opinion than Google Translate, but it highly depends on the language. And that also then highly depends where you're gonna go for a holiday, in case you need to translate a lot, because I feel that German and Spanish, etc. Google Translate does a really good job, but the more exotic languages you should go for a device like this. So if you want to purchase this device, you can do so on Amazon, and I will leave a link in the video's description, and then you receive it in this little box, and it's all white. As you can see, there are barely any kind of specifications and features listed. And if you remove the lid, we've got a user manual first, along with a SIM popper. Below that we find the Langogo Genisis right away, and has a temporary screen protector on it with some basic information. Now below that we've got a strap for around your wrist and a USB Type-C cable. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, you learned something. Don't forget to give the video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and then I hope to see all of you in the next one.